The Baltimore Ravens have made their decision on the fifth-year options of Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum. We'll talk about what decision they made, what that's going to cost. We're also going to talk about which Ravens' recent draft picks have the best chance to make an impact this season. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan. Welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So the Ravens made their fifth-year option decisions right at the deadline. The deadline's tomorrow. They ended up picking up Kyle Hamilton's fifth-year option, and they declined Tyler Linderbaum's fifth-year option. If you've been following this channel for, at least the last 2 months, you've probably heard me say this is exactly what's going to happen. We broke down the numbers many times, but let me go through what these numbers are one more time because now it is official. Kyle Hamilton, his fifth-year option cost $18.6 million, which is less than the top safety. So it made a lot of sense because most likely whenever Kyle Hamilton does sign his extension, he's going to reset the safety market. He will be the top paid safety in the NFL. So to have a fifth-year option that costs less than that makes sense to pick up. And if they can't come to an extension this offseason or next, we have Kyle Hamilton under contract now officially on his fifth year for $18.6 million. Similar to what we did with Odafe Oweh this season, he is now playing on his fifth year. So this just made a lot of sense. When you got arguably the best safety in the league who's going to reset the safety market, you should take a contract that is less than that. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to get an extension done. I'm hoping they get an extension done with Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum as soon as possible. The more time that goes on, the price ends up going up. I'm sure Kyle's cool with waiting because he's probably going to make more if it does jump into next offseason. These contract extension talks, it could be even the following year now because we have him under his fifth-year option next year. So Kyle Hamilton is a Raven next year officially for $18.6 million. Now let's flip over to Tyler Linderbaum. Why did the Ravens decline his fifth-year option? That's because when it comes to fifth-year options and franchise tags, centers are grouped in with the entire offensive line pay. And if you don't know how fifth-year option or franchise tags works, it takes the top 5 salaries at that position, and that average ends up being what the franchise tag or fifth-year option cost. There's Pro Bowl incentives as well. Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum both made the All-Pro and Pro Bowl lists, so they get a boost in their fifth-year option pay. But anyway, Tyler Linderbaum's fifth-year option came out to be $23.4 million, which is $5.5 million more than any center in the NFL. Creed Humphrey's the top paid center at $18 million. Why would you put the fifth-year option on him then at $23 million? That is way over what we would even have to pay him if we signed him to an extension. And regardless, this doesn't change the long-term outcome of Kyle Hamilton or Tyler Linderbaum being on this team, in my opinion. I think both of these guys are staple Ravens and are going to be locked up to a long-term contract. I don't see either of them going anywhere. I would be extremely disappointed if either of these guys were not in a Ravens uniform for the next 5+ years. So I know Kyle Hamilton's locked in for next year and Tyler Linderbaum's not, but I do see an extension getting done with both of these guys by next season. Obviously Tyler Linderbaum's contract becomes a little bit more pressing now because he's not under contract for next year, and I highly doubt the Ravens want to let him hit free agency. So if this doesn't get done this offseason, the extension, then it'll probably get done like Ronnie Stanley's did next offseason before Tyler Linderbaum hits free agency. I just don't see any scenario that the Ravens are going to let Tyler Linderbaum hit free agency. We obviously know now that Kyle Hamilton will not hit free agency next year because he's under contract. So it's a matter of time before these extensions get done. They are both going to be Baltimore Ravens. This is the statement that Eric DeCosta just released, which kind of echoes similar thoughts. He said, "We are exercising the fifth-year option for Kyle Hamilton with the goal of working toward a multi-year contract extension. while we will not apply the fifth-year option to Tyler Linderbaum, it is our intention for him to remain a Baltimore Raven long-term. Now let's talk a little bit more about these rookies that the Ravens just drafted. I'm still on a high from that draft, and they should be getting their jersey numbers. I don't know if that'll come today, but sometime this week, I would imagine we see all the rookies at the Castle and getting their jersey numbers. We got rookie minicamp a little over a week from now. I always look forward to the rookies seeing their jersey for the first time and seeing what numbers these guys pick. I always think that's interesting. But outside of Malachi Starks, who's going to be number 24, I don't think we know any of the rookies' numbers yet. So I'll be on here updating you guys and bringing you footage and stuff as soon as we do get that information. But I wanted to talk about which rookies that we just drafted have the biggest chance to make a difference on the field for the Ravens this season. I think the obvious is Malachi Starks and Mike Green, our first two picks, two first-round talents. I think Malachi Starks is in a rotational safety role to start the year, and Mike Green is also in a rotational pass rush role to start the year. I don't think either of them are 100% snap guys. Mike Green definitely won't be. I definitely think that they will put him in and just tell him to get to the quarterback, but he's not going to be in every single play. And Malachi Starks, I think, will probably end up being a 90 to 100% snap guy, like Kyle Hamilton, but I think at first they're going to ease him in. We also have a deep safety room right now with our Darius Washington still being there. Very versatile safety room, may I add. Kyle Hamilton can obviously play the back end too. He proved that last year. So I really think that they're going to be rotating a lot of these guys early, but we are going to see a lot of Malachi Starks, and he'll work his way into what Nate Wiggins became last year, where by the end of the year, he is a 100% snap guy, or at least close to it. I think Malachi Starks will make an immediate impact this year. I could see him getting 3 interceptions and making some crucial plays. I really think that Malachi is going to fit into this defense pretty quickly. And Mike Green is another guy who's going to make an impact this year. I would not be shocked if Mike Green can pass 6 or 7 sacks in his first season. I mean, I really think that he's going to get to the quarterback. I think the Ravens are going to keep it pretty simple for him and just put him out there to get to the quarterback and not overcomplicate things. He's also great in the run game too, so I really think that him being such a well-rounded player will get him on the field more than we probably even think. There's no reason that as long as he earns it, Mike Green shouldn't be out there often. I really think that he can make an impact and get him those reps out in the game so that he can develop faster. We're going to need him at a star level by next season. We have a lot of pass rush holes long term. Are we going to re-sign Owe? Is Owe going to be here long term? That's going to cost $20+ million. Van Noy's probably going to retire soon. Who knows what's going to happen with Adisa Isaac, David Ajabo? Like, if you take Owe, let's say we let Owe walk in free agency and get a comp pick, probably a 3rd-round comp pick for him, and then Van Noy retires or we just don't re-sign him, what's our pass room look like? Mike Green's all of a sudden our best pass rusher. I know we got Tavius Robinson, but he plays a little bit more inside. I'm talking about an edge, freak athlete, get to the quarterback often guy. It's only Mike Green. Unless Adisa Isaac or David Ajabo take a big leap, we're going to need pass rush again. Or we could re-sign Owe, but it's going to cost a lot. So it just, I think it's imperative that we get Mike Green out there early and often, as long as he earns those reps, which I think he will. And hopefully he can have a great year this year and then a huge year next year and moving forward. I think Mike Green's going to be the Ravens' best pass rusher. But those are the obvious immediate impact guys. Which other guys could play a role for the Ravens this year? Emory Jones could start at guard. Don't be surprised if he wins the guard job. I wouldn't say that I'm expecting it. I think Voorhees and Falele probably have a slight edge right now. But if Emory Jones comes into camp, they switch him to guard, and they love what they see, I wouldn't be shocked if he could win the left guard or right guard spot. I would not be shocked at all. And then long term, I think he is going to be our guard. Falele's a free agent after this season. I think Emory Jones Jr. will be the Ravens guard, probably right guard. So I really think the Ravens brought him in to be the guard and then also obviously be a backup tackle. He's a swing tackle too. He's a very versatile lineman. But I think Emory Jones has a chance to win the starting job this year. And if that does happen, or if he comes in and plays at all, then he's making an immediate impact as a rookie. So don't be surprised if Emory Jones does do that. The other rookie that I think can make a big immediate impact this season is the kicker, Tyler Loop. If Justin Tucker's gone, I think he is going to be gone. And if they are rolling with Tyler Loop, he's going to have a massive role this season. We're going to have a rookie kicker out there, the first rookie kicker that we've ever drafted. He's going to be out there for the Baltimore Ravens. That's a huge role. Now, I've said this before, but I want to reemphasize it. We do need to lower our expectations. I don't think that it's possible for us to have a prime Justin Tucker. I think we're going to experience a little bit of what we experienced last year, where Tucker was kind of middle of the road. He lost us some games by missing some meaningful kicks. Don't be surprised if Tyler Loop or whoever the Ravens end up going with at kicker, or even if it's Justin Tucker again. I'm not expecting prime Justin Tucker this season. I really just don't know if that's possible. If it is Tucker, he's going to have so many distractions and so much on his mind again. And we saw the ups and downs last year. If it's not Tucker, it's a rookie kicker in Tyler Loop. Or if it's someone else, it's probably just not anyone that is prime Justin Tucker. This is one of the best kickers to ever kick a football in the history of the game. But regardless, if Tyler Loop is the Ravens starting kicker, he has a massive role on this team in year one. And it's a little scary because if it doesn't go well, he will also cost us some games. I mean, you need to make field goals. You need to make extra points. If you're in a tight game, every point matters. So it's a little scary, but I think Tyler Loop is going to have a massive role in year one. So for a 6th-round pick, strap him up, man. And then the other guy that I think could have a pretty big role in year one is LaJohntay Wester. And that's probably not at wide receiver, but at punt returner or kick returner. If he ends up being our starting kick returner or punt returner, definitely punt returner. He's had a lot of experience at that. He's returned 1 touchdown the last 2 seasons. We've been looking for an explosive punt returner, kick returner. We signed Deontay Hardy last year to be that. He struggled with injuries throughout the year. We've seen what we got from Keaton Mitchell, Tylan Wallace. They add something. They bring something to the table, but I think Wester could be a explosive home run hitting punt returner that we definitely need, and at kick returner, because there's going to be a lot more kick returns this year when they change the rule again, that if you have a touchback, the team goes to the 35-yard line. That's just too good a field position. So now everyone's going to be trying to kick that ball into the landing zone, close to the goal line as possible so that people can't take a knee and they have to go return it. Well, now you need a great kick returner because you got to take a few to the house. That's a big edge. Remember when we had Jacoby Jones and we were returning a couple kicks a year? That's a big edge to have. That changes the game immediately when your special teams goes and scores a touchdown. So I think Wester could play a big role for the Ravens in year one at returner. Now, obviously, all the rookies that make the team are going to play some kind of role and, could play meaningful minutes on special teams and whatnot. But I think the chunk of guys that I just spoke on, Malachi Starks, Mike Green, possibly Emory Jones, Tyler Loop, and LaJohntay Wester have the biggest chance to play some meaningful minutes and really make a difference on this team in year one. But that's it for today, unless we get some other news. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.